Okay, everybody, you ready to get started?
We are ready.
Well, welcome to our focus group number 2. We're excited. I think you're going to have a nice day because Ryan Carter, our Measure BB team, and Richard Agracius, architect, they've put together a fantastic demo classroom just 50 feet down the hallway. And we're going to spend most of our time in there because they have a set of what they call performance standards that they want to present to you. Performance standards are not specific to a vendor or a specific brand. It's more about the functions. And what we're trying to achieve here in the 2 meetings that we're having together is that we hear what your needs are, which we've done. We surveyed you before we even met the first time. We had you come to that first meeting and work in school teams and kind of talk about your vision for future ABC classrooms when it comes to flooring, finishes, and 21st century technology. So we collected all that data, and Irene's going to share with you in summary what you said. But after that meeting, we gave all that data to the Measure BB team, and they looked at what was said, and they put together a package, so to speak, of performance standards. These would be standards that every ABC teacher and student would have as an expectation in their classroom. And they're going to present to you those performance standards in just a matter of minutes. Ryan will introduce to you a variety of vendors that are here to talk to you about the different elements, flooring, finishes, and technology. You're going to get a chance to touch and feel, sit down on the furniture, ask the vendors questions about how different things work, etc. When that's all finished, Irene will come back to you at the end. Well, actually, she'll share it with you before you leave here. But we want to hear from you one more time after you hear everything in our demo lab, because she wants to ask, okay, we've presented some performance standards. Are we on target? Do we need to move left? Do we need to move right? We don't want to miss anything. So please speak up in that survey. We'll give that data back to the Measure BB team, and we'll make more adjustments as needed. That's kind of the big picture. So with that, welcome, and Irene can take over.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for taking your time and being here. We are excited. I am super excited. Rather than have the standard, presentation being provided by the vendors, they're actually here. Like Dr. Sprague, it's really an authentic experience. You're going to get to sit in the furniture experience and touch the tabletops and look at just how the technology all comes together with such flexibility. Research really suggests that flexibility and ownership have so much to do with the difference for students in academic growth. So this is some of the things that I'm really excited because we just came from the demo a little bit ago, and I saw all those pieces. But my portion right now for what I want to share with you is here. So we did a collective sheet last time that we met, okay? And the only thing that this document now has, we asked you to come in, you reviewed the information, you kind of said, okay, well, this is what ABC as a whole, all teachers were surveyed, this is the information provided. In the middle row, the middle column, you as a focus group met and then provided information about priorities on the concepts, the functions, was it meeting the functions of your spaces, learning spaces? And then there's a list, right? A big list of all the comments, because again, we're trying to, our goal is to get a collective vision of what every school site needs in one area, because we're trying to establish a standard baseline. So we have, for example, this whole yellow area, the collaborative, activity, placed all the information there. Then it goes into the next section, which talks about the needs, about the finishes, and this is all, again, based on everybody's input. Now, there's twofold. One is because we want to establish everything in one area. We're very transparent. We want to make sure that you see this. But the other, the goal, the bigger goal, is so that we can also cross-pollinate and get ideas. So for some, there's a lot of great comments in there that we might have not have thought of. So together, collectively, we can come up with even more ideas. And so this document continues. There's 8 pages, a lot of great feedback, a lot of information, a lot of input here. And then it goes into, of course, the furniture. Now, I'm going to just kind of go really briefly over some of this information. That is just kind of a recap, basically, of all the information that you provided. Okay. So we looked at the classroom technology, and the areas that we asked you to look at and provide input were really about controls, audio controls, lighting controls. We asked you to look at the display monitors, and that was either mobile, stationary, interactive. So it was just standard, right? You gave us information on that. Projections. Then we switched over to topic number 2, which was the classroom finishes. And again, there we had said, we have some concepts about the flooring, what should it look like, the walls, the ceilings, the colors, how they play into a learning environment. And last but not least, very important, the classroom furniture as a whole as well. We looked at the tables, we talked about chairs, different height, varied colors, dry ease surfaces, collaborative areas. Based on, again, your design for what you felt that learning space required, we looked at how these features and elements design that classroom. Now, this is what you proposed. So this is just in a nutshell, everything that, those 8 pages that I shared with you, I just condensed that into a smaller. So you as a whole proposed that standardized, like a wall panel would be great, having that standardization. Also some kind of audio controls that were very easy to navigate, that streamlined the process. That was another big item that we saw. Dimming sectional areas, having that ability to control the lighting, multiple displays around your area so that front of the room was not really so visible and evident. We looked at also mobile and stationary. So here we had kind of a mix. Some said let's have some mix, a few around the room, multiple, but we can have them in both, multiple, mobile and also stationary. Then for the classroom finishes, again, what you proposed, looking at the areas of, the flooring, the walls, you said you wanted something to be easy to clean and maintain. That was the big thing that came across, durability. Because if this is going to last, for 20 years, we want to make sure that it's durable. There was a lot of input on contrasting the flooring. So when we talked about, the spaces for creation, spaces for direct instruction, spaces for collaborative spaces, we talked about how those learning spaces are different. And so we talked about the need for maybe the flooring to reflect that as well. We looked at very purposeful and varied colors throughout our furniture and also throughout our walls and ceilings. Here specifically we're talking about the finishes. And there was a big mention about natural light. So to recap everything that was provided by the 6 schools here represented, these were the takeaways. Our last piece was the furniture. And again, based on those 8 pages of information provided by the focus group and what they wanted to focus, the areas were a lot of flexibility and mobility. Those were the top. They wanted flexible so that you could design your learning space. We talked about stackable, something that you can move out of the way really quickly and you can design that space for the second purpose. Varied seating options, so not one size fits all. Some maybe would be standing, some students would be actually collaborative, moving around, creating a group, independent work. The whiteboard surfaces was evident, came across, multiple whiteboards. Mobile and secure storage. So if the teacher had a podium or if you had, storage on the side, how can we make that secure? How can it be movable as well? And the last one, again, is that podium piece. Now, these considerations were also gathered from the input that you provided, not necessarily items that, were part of it, but this is something that we heard over and over, outlets, outlets, outlets. So you have a vision that you want to make sure that your space is optional for any kind of setup or quick setup for your students to be able to work in small areas across your entire classroom. It's important also to note that I know it's not part of this, but also the NPR that is really needed at Tracy. We heard that over too, and they wanted to redesign that space. Soundproofing walls also came across several times, and yonder pouches, cameras in hallways for security. Now, all these items, again, are not part of what we're looking at today, but I think it's important to just make sure that we all see it and that it's there and how we can work together with that piece. Any questions so far on the recap and the information? Yes.
I brought up the yonder pouches at the cabinet meeting, but Tuan mentioned it's probably not going to happen due to the legal issue, that we shouldn't keep those camera or the away from the students.
Okay, that's good. So that was brought up in the meeting, and there's probably feedback
on that.
Sure.
We're not actually taking phones from students. Students have a pouch that they wear. They lock and they unlock it. So there's unlocking systems in every classroom if you choose, every hallway.
For any emergency, they are able to unlock
Yes,
immediately.
teachers never touch the phone. They have the pouch just like a lanyard. They wear it around. They have access to unlock it and lock it. It's up to the sites to choose where those are located.
Okay.
Also, I know at the high schools, it's kind of common practice that if there's an issue with a phone, administrators take a student's phone, they check it in for the day. So for me, that's kind of like a contradiction where it's like, well, the students have their phones on them. You never take it.
Yeah, that's something.
So if you haven't looked at the video, I strongly, yonder, Google it. The students are completely, they have access to their phone.
And
It's
they are
just
able
not.
to
So when they enter the
unlock
classroom,
it.
they need to lock it. So it's just kind of like the same technology that is on like clothing that you purchase where they
Yeah.
use that little machine. It's the same thing. It's a magnet, lock, unlock.
Because Tuan is very concerned about liability issue, just in case any emergency happen, and they will blame on the school authority to kind of.
Right. They've been able to unlock, I think it's like schools that have over like 3,000 to 4,000 students in under like 2 minutes. So
2
again,
minutes.
it's
Okay.
in every classroom, every hallway.
Thank you for the clarification. Again, right now, I guess it's good to have these conversations, but we're going to focus on just those big concepts today. Those are big ideas, but thank you for looking into that too for us. We are going to have a great overview in a second. You are welcome to leave your devices here. You're welcome to take them with you. Just to kind of give you an overview, when we get to our nice demo classroom, it's a nice tech classroom, you're going to see all these different pieces. What we're going to ask is, at the very bottom is a link, and this is really important because again, we need information to refine, what refinement do we need for the process. So it breaks it down into, we want you to let us know if you feel that we are on target or if you feel that we need an adjustment. In each of the areas below, so it'll have technology and it'll list the items. And if you feel that once you see those controls, we feel that you are on target, not specific vendor, just the concept or the big idea, then you select target or if you need an adjustment. And this goes for every single one of the areas, the furniture, the items that are going to be shared with you today. At the very bottom, well, at the bottom of each question, I should say, it'll say, well, specifically, if you feel that there's a needs adjustment, can you just give us a little more information, a little more input? So if I were to say, well, the varied colors or the mobility, then I could list that at the bottom and then just expand on it. Okay. Very important that we make sure that we get this information from you. So please, we'll have an opportunity to come back and then fill your surveys. Anything we say before we get ready to walk and go on a journey? No? Okay. Super exciting. We're actually going to follow our project manager, Ryan Carter, out.
So, like Colin and Irene had mentioned, we are going to be able to have a little time here to go over all the different areas that we received input on. Number one, we're going to start with finishes. So today we brought in Tandis Tarquette. They have provided the flooring in both of the rooms here, and we're going to talk a little bit about their resiliency and why we need to look into ultra durable products. So without further ado, I'll start with John Matus with Tandis.
Yeah, so I'm with Tarquette. We're the company that manufactures the carpeting and the hard surface products that are in the other room. I'll start with the carpet. Our carpet isn't your standard carpet that you see with an action back material. Carpet like this, if you spill anything wet on it, goes into the back stuff grows in there, mold, whatever. Our carpet is not like that. Our carpet has a closed cell vinyl backing. So anything that ends up on the face of the carpet stays on the face. So no molds, nothing that could cause allergies, none of that type of stuff, because everything stays on the face of the carpet. Also, our seams are chemically welded. So basically, when the floor is installed, it's like a giant swimming pool. I mean, you could flood this stuff with water. No moisture could get under the carpet ever. Nothing could ever grow under the carpet. So you never have to worry about any allergies or any molds. None of that stuff with our carpet. So I know that's a big problem. Everyone worries about carpet and they're going to get some kind of a respiratory problem. And that just can't happen with our carpet. In fact, the carpeted room actually has better air quality than a hard surface room. So that being said, so our carpet has the vinyl backing on it, closed cell. It also has cushion, so it's better for teachers that are standing up all day. You're not standing on hard concrete, you're not standing on a hard material. Helps with your feet, ankles, knees, back. Really good stuff. And then if you see in the back there those black areas, those are called walk-off mats. So that material has the same backing, same profile as the carpet in the room. And it's also welded to the carpet. So again, nothing can get under the carpet, nothing can grow under the carpet, and it's the same height, so there's no tripping hazards. And the reasons that we put those at the doorway is the material that it's made out of collects all sand, tar, anything that gets on your shoes. So it could save time maintenance-wise, because every day if your maintenance guy vacuums those areas, it'll keep all the dirt, dust, and sand off of your carpet. And so then he basically vacuums once or twice a week in the rest of the room. More time to do your whiteboards and trash and that type of thing. Hard surface material in the other room doesn't take any wax or strippers or any sealants. So you don't have any chemistry that would affect anybody in your room. Basically it uses a neutral pH cleaner, which is the same cleaner used for the carpet. So your custodians don't have to use two different types of chemistry to clean the room. So say you had a hard surface area around your sink, custodian could use the same cleaning components to clean both areas. So in that area you have a sheet vinyl, which is this material, which is used in corridors, multi-purpose rooms, bathrooms, really great material. And then you also have the LVT, which is the darker material, which is a vinyl tile, which is super durable, great for multi-purpose rooms. But again, the main point I want to make is that those floors don't need any waxing, don't need any stripping, so there won't be any chemistry in the rooms that could affect anybody that has any allergies or that type of thing. Oh, another good point about this carpet is it's great for acoustics. So not only is it great for a classroom, but it's great for a music room, like admin office. So that's what I got.
Appreciate it, John.
Sure.
One thing I want to add is, when we are looking at selecting flooring materials or any kind of materials that are going to the classroom, longevity is very high on our list. So any of the products that we are showing have at least a 20-year life expectancy. So that's really important. If we're going to be investing bond dollars, that we're getting a product that's going to stand the test of time.
And that being said, our first classroom where we installed carpet was in 1967. And in 2007, it was still installed. So this stuff, we put it in jails. I'm not saying schools are like jail. This stuff is bulletproof. I mean, you just hose it off and it's good to go.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you. So next up for our finishes, we had our representative from Claridge who provided these marker boards and cork boards. He had to step away, but in lieu of, I have Chris Ursetta with Digital Networks Group, who also works hand in hand with Claridge, to kind of go over the product and some of the features that these Claridge boards will provide us. So, Chris?
So I'm not the whiteboard guy, so I'm going to tell you as much as I know about these boards. But the manufacturer is Claridge. They're relatively local. They're out in Chino. They make the boards in all different sizes. This is not a typical board. This is a 5-foot high board. This is what we're installing in a lot of schools now. just so that you have a bigger image on your projector, or on the image. The board here is a porcelain finish, so it's very robust. This board is lifetime warranty, it doesn't chip. There's a metal backing on it, which is very important, especially if you're doing projection with a finger touch. The board has to be plumb at all times or it throws it off, and so there's no warping. Also too, this comes in different sizes and shapes. Now you see the seam in the middle here, this is not a mistake, and you see that there's 2 different shades here. We did this because this room is a proof of concept room. We're showing that there's 2 ways of displaying. There's the gray, it has like a grayish hue to it on this side, and this is more of a white. So the gray kind of softens the picture, gives out more contrast. So again, this is for, everybody sees things differently, so it's for you to take a look at, see what best fits and suits you. Also too, on this side here, it's a bulletin board cork board. This comes in all different colors, so you can pick the colors that either matches your carpet or your particular school or the district colors. And also too, and they come seamless as well, so that you're not gonna have the seam here, and they come in all the way up to 16 feet wide without any seams. Also too, what's pretty robust about these boards is that if you accidentally use a Sharpie, has this ever happened in your classrooms before? Sharpie, okay. And also too, they are recommend that using rags these days, not the erasers, because you go from, the ink goes from the board to the eraser and back on the board. You end up with this ghosting and this Easter egg thing with all the different colors up on your board. And after they sit for a while, they're very hard to get off. And so, if you have a Sharpie or even paint to get that off, you can use the chemicals that are inside of a regular marker, like this. Get ready for the wow factor here.
Better hope it works.
Yeah, hope it works. Did I tell you that I'm not the board guy? All right. Okay. So that's all I can tell you about this board. And, but all boards, they're not all created equal. You can buy boards that are very, very cheap, but again, lifetime warranty on the boards, making sure that they don't warp, that's huge, especially when you're using a projection system. Yeah.
So 2 things, obviously he's got magnets behind him, so these boards are magnetic. And then this board over here on this wall is a frameless board as well. And so just options that we're presenting, it's got more of a streamlined look to it. So we're just kind of presenting all the different options that we are considering for the classrooms. And of course, that's why we want your input.
That one's magnetic too.
And also to the porcelain finish.
Yes.
The porcelain finish here, this is designed specifically for projection. If you project on a regular whiteboard, you'll get a lot of glare from the lights in the projector, so you can see you don't have a lot of that bounce back. So it's designed specifically for this application. Okay?
Are those whiteboards as well? You can write on those?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And then over to the left behind Ryan is a corkboard.
All right.
So that's kind of one of the advantages of, and I think they'll talk about with the projection manufacturer, being able to project and still being able to annotate because it's a whiteboard, right? And even though when the projector's not on, you walk in your classroom, you've got a whiteboard. As soon as you project on it, you have your image, you can annotate over it, okay?
The whole purpose of kind of everything we've done in this room is to show flexibility and multi-purpose. So, we'll go through the furniture. There's multi-purposes to each one of the pieces of furniture here as well. So it just kind of goes hand in hand with the board. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Okay, so next we want to talk about furniture. And we have 2 different manufacturers, 2 different vendors here who represent multiple manufacturers. But first of all, I'd like to introduce McDowell Craig and give them an opportunity to display some of the furniture they brought here today.
All right. So my name is Wes McDowell, Jeff McDowell. We're McDowell Craig Furniture right down the street, right off the 5 in Carmenita, which I'm sure a lot of you have driven by numerous times in your life. We have a lot of people that work in the factory that I'm sure are in your classrooms. They have kids and they go to ABC, so ABC is very important to us. We started out in 1946. My great-grandpa went to my grandpa. Here's my dad. Here's me. I have a little brother. I have, cousins, etc. We all worked there. Started out with office furniture, which I'm sure a lot of you have McDowell Craig cabinets in your offices or classrooms. And now we've adapted, and we're going into school furniture. And so, you know, a lot of the stacking desks right there. There's the nesting flip table right there, which I drew my boat on. You can ride on it. We do a lot of marker board top now. And so there's the G-lift lectern, which goes up and down. So some of the highlights that we have. We sell factory direct. So essentially, we come straight from us, from A to Z. We do the quoting, which would be yours truly, and then I go all the way to delivery. When it comes down to delivery, everything is factory assembled and it's loaded, fully assembled. So instead of assembling in the classrooms, we just wheel it off the truck right into the class, and it's ready to go.
Yeah. We can do an entire school in a day or less.
Yeah.
And multiple schools, which we do quite often. We did 13 elementary schools out in the Paris area. We did in 8 days.
Yeah.
And that was 49 53-footers.
Yeah.
So we're very adept at the tight time frame that is available to all of us in the summer season.
Yeah.
So, and our market is the West Coast. We only focus on the West Coast. There's plenty here to keep us busy. So it also ensures that our deliveries are on time and they're correct.
Yeah.
And anything that does go wrong, we are the factory. And we do punch lists in real time. So,
Yeah, so if we're assembling a classroom and you say, hey Wes, this top has a scratch on it. Well, I just call the factory, they get a new top, same day I bring it in and replace. So anyways, that's
Talk about the durability of your furniture.
glad you brought that up. So McDowell Craig's always known for our durability. Everything we have comes with a lifetime warranty. So if you ever have an issue, you send me an email and I get it replaced right away.
the product is designed and built in our factory. We do not outsource from overseas. We don't have other OEM product that we bring in and screw together. Every frame that you see, the nesting flips right there, these stacking frames right here, it is all welded frame. Welded frame, powder coated. So the only screws that we have are the screws that attach the work surface to the frame itself. And it's not only manufactured in our factory, but locally sourced. The steel comes from the mills in Fontana. The tubing is rolled in Rancho Cucamonga. The powder comes from El Monte. And so we use all locally sourced product. So we're one of the few that's doing that.
Yeah.
We never went to China when everyone went to China. And we're very glad we didn't. So, very local. And that's why the product is so good. Once we assemble what we make, all the little bugs we work out in our own assembly department. So it gets to you exactly as you ordered it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We will have a bit of time at the end, so if there's some questions that you come up with even after the presentations, at the very end I'll give everybody a chance to kind of come back. The manufacturer's representatives, the gentleman here, will be around till the end of the meeting, so don't worry about that. Next in line, we have Culver Newline, another furniture vendor that works with ABC, and Alan is here to give a little bit of an explanation on some of the furniture pieces that they brought in as well.
I'm Alan Schlom with Culver Newline, and our company is out of Corona, California, and we've served Southern California school districts for over the past 50 years. I brought in some chair samples along with some student desk samples that we'll go over today. One of the chairs I want to start off with right here, this is our VS chair, and the VS chair has a flex forwarding feature in the chair like the one you're sitting in. You see how you're able to have a little bit of motion. There's a lot of, with the 21st century classroom, you're seeing a lot of motion and active flexibility within the classroom. This chair right here has a dual-ply, two-layer plastic, and it's breathable with no perforations in here. And it's been one of our better chairs, or best one of our best chairs that we have. Another chair product we brought in was the one right here in that you're sitting in. That chair is from alumni seating, and the chair, most of the chairs that you see from the different manufacturers come with a 18-inch seat height, 16-inch width. What they do, especially for like high school levels, which is what we're pretty much going to be starting off with the ABC, is that it's a little bit, it's 1 inch oversized height, width, whatever, and with a excess of a 250-pound test on the frame. So larger students or whatever, there's not an issue to be sitting in those chairs. Then we can go into our student desks. Our student desks are, like it's shown right here, they're stackable. And with the student desk, they do have the all steel welded framing in the desk. And they're also a wheel barrel where you notice 2 casters, 2 non-casters. So it'll be easier for mobility in the classroom. And the Fleetwood brand is also a lifetime warranty with their warranty. Excuse me. We also carry the storage you see in the back. One on the low storage, I opened up one of the doors intentionally so it shows with their 5-knuckle hinging that the door can completely wrap around without any taking up space once the doors are open. And the casters on there with the 4 caster cabinets have a 750-pound test on that for weight distribution. And with when Ryan mentioned something with multiple usage, the cabinets you'll see up against the walls, especially on the low cabinets, you can put them out in the classrooms. They're easily movable. And you can get the students to get from the seated position to the standing position and create like a little island area in the classrooms. The kids can stand in, just depending on what the curriculum is. You have the ability to mix it up a little bit in the classroom. And then also, we'll talk about our podiums that we have. We have 2. One is a manual adjustment where you pretty much lock it in place, a little more of a cost-friendly piece. And then we have these right here, which go from the seated height up to standing height for lecturing. But anyways, in a few minutes there, that's kind of our product offering today.
All right, thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
I just want to kind of add, so the concept that we're considering, we're asking you to consider, or we're proposing in this example is that all the furniture, including your storage, is flexible. And so we wouldn't have this in a classroom, you would just have multiple storage pieces. So you really you maximize your open area, your square footage, and you can rearrange your classrooms. Right even to the teacher's desk is really a table with a privacy panel, and then a file, a box file on wheels. And so it's all flexibility, and next to it, potentially another file cabinet with a seat. A student can be sitting there. So it's just, we want your feedback on all of this, and if you like what you see, let us know, and what you don't like or what else you want to see, we need to know so we can provide you what's going to work best for you. Thank you.
All right. So again, towards the end, if you guys come up with some questions or suggestions, we'll have a little bit of time to talk. Now I want to get into the technology portion. So that's a little bit more robust. We have a few different vendors here to kind of go over the different elements that we've shown in here. We're going to start off with Newline, with our interactive display. And oh, you want to go? Yeah. Yes. Actually, let me bring up Chris from Digital Networks Group really quick, and then shortly after that, we'll bring in Newline. We have today not only Newline, but we have Epson to display their ultra short throw projector, and D&G will give a demo on the Extron system that we've provided in here today as well. So, Chris.
It's me again. So I'm with Digital Networks. We're an audio and video integration company, and I brought together a couple different manufacturers, put together a very robust AV system that is designed specifically for classrooms. And so the components are the infrastructure. You already heard a riveting presentation on the whiteboard no months ago. then there's the projection system, two different types of displays, the laser projector and the flat panel display. And then we're also going to go through some wireless collaboration. We'll do that at the end. So I'm going to do it real quick. So each one of these, we can spend 45 minutes on each one of these, but we've got to compress all of it into about 30, 35 minutes and leave room for questions and answers. So I'm going to talk briefly about the infrastructure. Without the infrastructure, none of this stuff works. And you really don't see a lot of it because it's behind the walls, up in the ceiling. And the manufacturer is Extron. So this is not shoddy workmanship where it's falling out of the ceiling. We left this open so you can see it. This is basically the vault. When it's closed, there's a ceiling tile on top of it, so aesthetically it's very pleasing to the eye. It's serviceable, it's out of the way, so nobody's can tamper with it. It's in a controlled environment. There's actually an enclosure up there, so you've got your power supply, you've got your switcher, you've got your amplification. Over on the wall here, excuse me, is your control panel. Very intuitive. You have your on and off switch. You've got your selection of inputs if you want. If you have multiple displays, some classrooms have a front projection and side projection, and so you can switch between multiple resources, different displays. Has your volume control. This is all programmable, so you can set this up so that the buttons, you can do a lockout, you can mute the audio, you can mute the video. You can put this on the network, so if there's any issues, IT can diagnose problems. And then down below, you can't see from where you're sitting, but these are all the input plates, the VGA and HDMI. This system you can put up to 4 inputs throughout the classroom. Also too, this is the voice lift system. I've been doing integration for schools for 30-some years. I think that this is the most underrated product that you put into a classroom. Having that constant volume, so as the teachers roam around the classroom, turning the back, students and audience, they're not missing key words, key phrases, direction, and whatnot. Also too, the speakers are specifically designed for classroom rather than the circular, it's too loud. Where you have the volume coming straight down, we have hotspots. These speakers here, 2 speakers can actually fill a classroom. It has about 140-degree dispersion. And so audio isn't about loudness, it's about even distribution so that everybody in the classroom can hear, but low enough so the classrooms on either side of the walls do not hear. Okay? So that's basically the infrastructure. And again, without that, nothing here works. So then I'm going to introduce, who's up next? Alex, you up? Okay. Alex is going to give you a presentation on the Newline. This is one of the displays here. Excuse me.
All right, thanks everybody for having me here. My name is Alex Korfar, and I am the educational account manager for Newline that covers Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. Of course, I'm getting a phone call right as I start. And so I'm going to give you guys a quick presentation. It's about 78 slides. I'll do it in 10 minutes. I'm sure you guys will bear with me here. So Newline is an interactive flat panel manufacturer. That's the only thing we make. We don't make printers. We don't make typewriters. We just make interactive flat panel displays. We're based out of Texas. And we are a non-OEM manufacturer. What that means is we actually make the product ourselves. Okay, so this here is an 86-inch flat panel display. It is 4K, so it's ultra bright, ultra high definition, looks really great inside your rooms. So I'll talk a little bit about Newline, but before I do anything, let me just start off by saying that this is a gigantic PC tablet. Right, so it's really easy to use. It's a Windows-based computer built onto this TV. You touch it and it really just goes. So our primary aspect of everything that we do is we want to be the easiest to use on the planet. Part of that is we're non-proprietary, so literally any type of software, any type of hardware that you like to use that would work with a computer will work with this. Okay, you saw I came up to the panel here and started writing right onto it. This pen is just a gigantic piece of plastic. I can use your pen right there if I want. Borrow it right here. It'll do the exact same thing. Actually, it thought that I was a finger, right? It's too thick. it'll do the exact same thing right with the cap right there, right? So the panel itself can detect the differences in size from the tip of the pen, my finger, or an eraser to erase, right? That's how easy it is to use. So primarily our first function, big computer. Second function, easiest to use on the planet. Third thing, we're completely non-proprietary, so we'll work with anything, okay? The great thing about Newline is we're a completely integrated solution. So what that means is we will work with anything, whether you're using an Extron system, the stuff that's up here inside this box. We'll work with anything, it doesn't matter what it is, okay? Continuous support and training. This is a really, really big feature for us. What that means is for your teachers, we will provide a continuous training for them, whether it's through our online portal with our trainers that are based out of Plano, or our in-person trainers. They'll come out to your school sites and teach your teachers how to use these panels. Why is that important? Adoptation, right? We want your teachers to adopt these panels into their classrooms every single day. If you don't teach them how to use it, then that just becomes a gigantic TV, and all this interactive stuff is waste, right? So we want to make sure that everybody knows how to use it, and we'll do that for you, and it is no additional cost whatsoever. A little bit more about Newline, right? So we own the factory. We make these panels ourselves. They're our panels. Why is that good for you? If you decide to deploy these types of panels across your entire district and it takes, let's say, 5-7 years, we own the factory, we will make this exact same panel for you for the next 5 years because we're a small company and we own the factory. It's easy for us to do. Local warehouses. Our warehouses are across the country. We have our main one in Texas where our corporate office is, but we also have one here in LA. So it makes it really easy for you in the district. You need 250 tomorrow, we can send them to you because we own the factory and we always have product in stock. Technical support, unlike other panel manufacturers that are based out of like England or other parts of the world, our technical support is based out of Plano. So while we might not be in the West Coast time zone, you pick up the phone, you're calling Plano, Texas, right? It makes it really easy to talk to people in the same time zone. So these are all things that we can do for you guys, okay? This one, very, very important. All right, next slide. 1 out of every 4 flat panels in the country or in the world are made by Newline. So again, I mentioned earlier we own the factory. Our factory makes panels for other people. So we are one of the largest market share companies for interactive panels. Okay? So this entire time I've been using the software. This is just PowerPoint. It's on the computer that's built into the panel. A little bit more about the hardware. This is, again, an 86-inch display, 4K. Okay? Other things that you can do with this panel is, for instance, we have an HDMI port right here with a USB. Okay? So you can take your computer from home and plug it in here. It doesn't matter what type of device you have, whether it's a MacBook, HP, whether it's an iPad or a iPhone. All of these types of devices will work with this display. We have different types of softwares that are included, so you can broadcast your devices to the display and we can show it wirelessly, or we can actually take what the content is on the display and broadcast it out to your devices inside the room. So all these things, they're included, lots of softwares that we use. All right, let me pull out of the presentation here. You notice how here it says, do you want to keep your ink annotations? I'm going to keep these real quickly. So every single place that I annotated, because I was using the tools that are built into Microsoft, those annotations will stay there. When I exit this PowerPoint, it'll ask me if I want to save it. Okay? The difference is we're using tools that are already built in to Microsoft, which means that as you're working, it's easy to recognize the tools and it's easy to know. How many people in this room have used Microsoft Office? Okay, do you know how to use it? Okay, you know how to use it on this display too as well, right? So it makes it very easy to pick up this pen and take this display that's inside your room and start running with it. Okay. Let's see here, what else can we do? All right, so another one of the softwares that we provide you is a software called IdeaMax. And IdeaMax is the Newline version of a Whiteboard. It's built into the panel here. It's built on, excuse me, it's a program that's running on the computer that's in the panel here. And it allows you as a professor, a teacher, to just come in and start writing on the board, taking notes, selecting colors, and using it. It's a continuous display, okay? So as I go here, if it'll let me do it, there you go. It allows me to remove it. It's an infinity display, okay? So what that means is the whiteboard is never ending. You can write all you want, move the image, move what you're writing, import images and text. You can import PDFs into this. It's software that's running on the display, okay? Before I drop it off, image quality is one of the most important things with a display. Let's see here. Because this is a 4K display, you can see the quality of the image. These displays are designed to work for about 50,000 hours, somewhere between 30 and 50,000 hours. All of the displays that Newline have come with a 5-year advanced replacement warranty, so you have the security of knowing that if there was something to go wrong with the display, we would send you out a new one, and it's an overnight advanced replacement warranty. So if there was ever something to go wrong, we'd replace it overnight. Okay. And again, 4K and very, very large. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Shea. I am a product manager at Epson America, located in Long Beach, California. And I'm the product manager for short throw and ultra short throw and the interactive products here in the US. And with me is Karen Smith. Karen Smith is our sales representative for the Southern California area. So what you're seeing today here is our Breitling 1485 FI interactive projector. This is a brand new product. It just started shipping last week. So like I said, hot off the press. In terms of who is Epson and why you would consider Epson, Epson has been making display solutions for the classroom for at least 25 years. We have over 10 million students across America every day learning from displays that are Epson, whether it's a long throw projector, short throw projector, an interactive projector. When we design our products, every year we do what we call our customer tour. We take engineers from Seiko Epson Japan, and they come over here, and we go around to different parts of the country, and we meet with people like you, teachers, and IT directors, and principals, and we talk about the direction of technology as it relates to education. Where do you see yourself going? Where's display fit into that? What are the feature sets that you need? And we take that and we put that input, and it becomes part of the next line of products. So, like I said, these products are built with input from you guys. I'm going to go through this very quickly. We introduced our first Breitling interactive products back in 2010. As of 2019, this is our latest model. What's new about this is it's a 3 LCD laser display, so there's no more lamps. So that idea that you were in a classroom and one day you're getting ready to teach something really important, you turn it on and the bulb goes, and then you're without a projector maybe for days or maybe a couple of weeks as they swap it out. You don't have that problem anymore because of the built-in laser light source. Also, the filter set is rated for 20,000 hours, just like the laser light source. So basically, it is a virtually maintenance-free product. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but the top items to go over is that it's a 5,000 lumen HD display. Like I said, 20,000 hour light source. I'm going to talk about some of these other things down the line. It has built-in Wi-Fi and Miracast, so if you're using Miracast devices, it makes it really easy just to connect to the projector. You can see it there and do a peer-to-peer connection and display your content that way. It supports up to 2 interactive pens and 6 points of touch with the finger. It also has built-in annotation tools. So if I came up here and I wanted to highlight some of these things, I can write directly over any of the content I show, whether that's a PDF, whether it's web content, or a PowerPoint like this. And then if I just want to quickly delete, do that, and then I can move on. Let's see. Laser light source, I mentioned that, I'm going to go on. So One of the things that's really unique to this product is the image size, right? So when we're educating students and we want to keep them engaged and focus on the content, we want to have it so they can see it. So in the furthest reaches of the corner of the classroom that they can read. This is roughly a 100-inch image display, and it's native to the projector. But it also do an ultra-wide 120 inches, which would go off this board. I think you can get a board that fits it. And you have the whole 120-inch wide, ultra-wide display. So when you compare that versus standard, like 75-inch flat panel would give you this much. And then if you look at 100-inch 16 by 9, you're actually getting 77% more display area. And by the time you move up to the ultra-wide, 120, you're getting 96% more display area. So it's basically like 2 displays in one. And so what it allows you to do is, if I touch, for instance, the whiteboard icon, I can bring up the whiteboard, and then it would, okay, well, it'll display from both. So it'll show a whiteboard and the content from a PC, or content from a document camera. So you'll have those devices connected, and then you can select them and show one on each side, each large enough so that the students can see it. In terms of the interactivity itself, it's fully self-contained, meaning I don't need an interactive whiteboard to work with this product. This is an ordinary whiteboard, as they told you about. There's no electronics built into this board. It's just that it's projecting onto this whiteboard surface. And the cool thing about that is, if you want to, you can mute the image, turning off the projector. You can grab your dry erase pens, and if you want to use dry erase, you don't lose this valuable space in terms of, turning off a panel. And then when you want to come back to it, you just reactivate the image. In terms of the inputs, like I said, it has 3 HDMIs, it has USB, it has all the things you need at LAN, built-in Miracast. So when you're connecting different devices, now the home screen will actually give you a preview of what's connected to each one. So instead of just guessing with your remote going, I guess I'll press this and I wonder what I'm going to get, I don't know. This is touch activated, and you can select your source based on, okay, yeah, I know that's my PC, or I know this is my document camera. One of the other really cool things about this product is it's designed to be PC free. I'm running this presentation on a PC, obviously, but you can make it so you just come in, turn the projector on, get a whiteboard space, and be drawing with the interactive pen, writing with the pen tools, and anything that you do on the board, you can then save, print, or email directly from the projector. There's a printer driver built into the projector. So if you have a network projector in the room, you could print. If you want to email your lesson to a student that say they weren't there that day, you can email using the built, you would have this connected to your email server, and you could push that out to a student or a colleague. All these different devices can connect wirelessly. Like I said, it has a built-in Wi-Fi. One of the other things you can do with it, with this whiteboard, the built-in whiteboard, the one that's there when you just turn it on without even being connected, is you can share that out to other devices. So these projectors can be put on the network. They're designed to be put on the network. And then in this case, the person here in New York, or it doesn't have to be cross-country, it can be across the campus, right? They can put up their content and be displaying it, and they can set an invitation to these 2 users who then see the exact same thing on their screen, and they can interact with it as well. So you can be drawing on the board on this side, drawing on the board on this side, and they're mirroring each other. So it's true collaboration. In terms of the software that we include, we have our own easy interactive tools. It's just a simple software applet, pens and erasers and things like that. No, it's not a lesson plan software like something like Smart Notebook or Promethean Active Inspire, but we do include Smart Notebook in the box with the projector. So if you're familiar with that software and have lots of lessons built up, you can continue to use it with this product. We have eye projection software and apps. So eye projection is our proprietary software, and it allows you to connect PCs, MacBooks, Chromebooks, Android devices wirelessly to the projector and push that content here. There's also a feature within the eye projection called Moderator, which is what you would have as a teacher, so you can see the content, you can see who's connected on the other side, and select whose content you're going to show, and you can display up to 4 devices at once. You can connect up to 50 students at once. And lastly, we have a projector management utility, and that's really for the IT people. Allows them to monitor the projectors on the network. You can display over the network. You can actually set up the projectors so like perhaps every day at 4 o'clock, all the projectors in the building turn on. So that way if someone forgets when they walk out of the classroom, it doesn't stay on all weekend, right? Let's see. Eye projection, I mentioned that, sorry. And then in terms of service and support, Epson provides full, what we call overnight replacement of products. So if there's ever a problem with it, you would contact your dealer and we would work with them and get a unit shipped out ahead of time. So the unit comes, you put up the new unit, take out the old unit, and put it in the box. Epson pays shipping both ways on that. Let's see. One of the other little features that I'll bring up, I don't think I showed this before, is there's this touch icon right here. If I do this, it's going to turn off the interactive touch. Why would you want to do that? Sometimes students come up and they start poking at everything, and they can actually be advancing slides or moving things and closing programs accidentally. So you can turn that off down here, so when they're up here, they're not causing havoc like that. So as I showed from the top, we've been selling BrightLink interactive products since 2010. We have over 350 to 400,000 of these installed across the United States of America and Canada. We are the #1 market share leader in interactive projectors with 80% market share, meaning 4 out of every 5 interactive projectors sold in this country is an Epson BrightLink. Any questions?
So your distance learning feature where you can have multiple, you can share out what you're doing to other classrooms or to other
Yes,
places.
for the whiteboard.
Does that have like a recording feature so you could hear the person talking maybe from the other classrooms?
It doesn't. You would have to probably utilize another video conferencing software. So no, there's no cameras built into the projector, but certainly it works with things like Zoom and other things where you can share out and hear audio. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So if you were to write on that as a marker board, does it have a masking feature where it masks what was written before, or it will telescope through your image? If you were just to take your marker board and mark on that. Like you gave the example, you could turn it off and you just use the marker board regularly. And then when you go back, you would have to erase your marker board in order to use that display?
If you were using it
Yes.
as a whiteboard with
Yeah.
this. If you were using it and then you turned it on, you'd have to erase this.
Yes. Sorry.
Can we play around with it? This?
Yeah, I would absolutely hope you would play around with it, and that's why it's here.
We'll leave everything that's in here for a little bit afterwards, but for the sake of time, we probably need to move to next week. We'll have a little bit of time at the end, like I said, for questions.
So, hello, I'm Brandon Morrell with Digital Networks Group. I'm going to talk about wireless presentation. There's the ability within both of these products, both the Newline product as well as the Epson product, to actually do some wireless inputs. I just need to switch this real quick here. But what I'm going to talk to you about is this particular product, which is Immersive Solstice. It's really the wireless product that I like to compare against everything else. Apple TV, Chromecast, all of those other products are out there and may be applicable to you, but really Immersive Solstice is really a really powerful tool. It does support the Chromebooks, it does support Miracast, it supports multiple operating software, whether it's Android, iPhones, what have you. Also, you can see at the top, it actually has the ability to bring in RSS feeds. So it actually functions as a digital signage when you're not utilizing it. This space here could be customized. It could actually be customized through Google Slides. So it could be your classroom school news. It could be your site's school news. It could be put together with your students from an activity standpoint. And when everyone is not connected to the system, they actually can just come through and this would start to do a digital signage. And as you see, we're just doing some mosaic picture flips right here. But real quick, I'm going to go ahead and connect the video that you had when we first came in. And I'm doing that through an AirBook, a MacBook Air here. I'm also going to connect my laptop. Go ahead and play this video. And then I'm going to start bringing in some other images from my phone. And then I'll also mirror my phone. So through the application, I'm actually can take some pictures and take some videos. So I'm just going to take a couple of quick pictures and then a video to share with everybody. So everyone just smile over there. Okay, we'll use that photo. I'm going to do a real quick video of everybody. Make everybody very happy. See, look at that, great. Use that video, and then I'm actually going to come in and mirror. Very happy. See, look at that, great. I'm actually going to mirror my image. So this is set to have 4 connections, and actually it can have 40 simultaneous posts. Again, once you get to 40 simultaneous posts, yeah, it is actually kind of a thumbnail effect, right? It's kind of it's tough, it's small to read. But what's really unique about this is the manner in which I can control this. So I'm actually controlling this from my phone. I'm going to click on this image that actually brings up the video image. And now I'm going to take these images and start dragging them off into the park. And just bring up the images that we want to look at. And now I've got everything else parked over here, and I'm just sharing this screen. Now if I want to bring back that image or that student group that brought back up, I can bring back up that video. And it'll automatically, it's in a snap to grid, but this specifically with the 2 touch screens, you can actually make this more like a Windows application where you could size these how you wanted it. So it's a really nice application. What's nice about this too is what we're looking at over here is this is Kepler. It's a free application. It provides analytics. So currently right now it's showing the number of connected users, the type of user devices that are connected, the total use of today. Well, I'm really skyrocketing. Didn't really use it last week at all. It actually shows location. So here we are. And here's another unit that I have. So there's a lot of other nice features with this, and we start taking a look at the analytics, and again, the usage of the systems and the peaks. So it's really maybe not a day-to-day application that you want to use for your classroom environment, but it's really good for IT supports and administrators, so you kind of really take a look at how you're utilizing that application. Another neat application here is I'm actually going to put this into what is called an extended mode. The unit actually has 2 outputs. So it has an image that's going to the system that we're splitting to both displays right now, but I'm going to switch it towards its independent displays. So let me make that happen right now. And once that's done, as I bring out the images, I can bring them to different sides. So now it's only over there. So I'm going to bring this other image to this screen. Bring it to this screen, there we go. Bring this image out, bring this image out, and all these other images out to the systems. One of the things that's nice, let me drag everything back away and bring out my device. See the icons? Those are the avatars. Those are the people who are connected. So this is this actual active avatar. All these other screens are screen share. So I'm going to select that person, and I'm going to say go ahead and show all their posts, and all their posts come back out. So again, one of the nice things about Immersive Solstice is it's a very user-friendly application. It's easy to get connected, and it's easy to manipulate, and more importantly, it's unique in the fact that the images are actually shared to your students. Now again, through a screen control, you can have access control where they have to enter in a screen key. A 4-digit screen key will be regenerated every time you use it. You can have a behind-the-scenes password that you change. There's an authentication mode. So Chris is in my class. I see that he connects. I can visually see that he's here. Even though he has the password, even though he has a screen key, I have to authenticate him into sharing. Once he goes to share something, I'll get a visual indication of what that is. I'll actually see what he's sending me is actually appropriate. I can approve it and then send it. But as we noted, we really want you guys to come in here and manipulate this applications and these devices. So it's wide open right now. But again, we can really pretty much lock it down. So that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for everybody who did come out. We had a lot of efforts that were put together to create this space, create these displays for you guys. So, I want to thank all the vendors that donated their time and brought out all these different pieces of demo equipment for us to explore. Also, thank you all for your time. I know it's hard for us all to get in the same room at the same time, so we really appreciate that. Next steps from here, I'll hand it over to Colin. We'll talk a little bit about the survey that we're going to complete, and we'll take that information and try and create the final packages for everyone. We do have a couple minutes for questions and answers. If anybody had any specifics for any of the 3 key areas that we went over today, we still have the vendors here available to answer anything that came up. So if you do, go ahead. I guess you raise your hand. That works.
So we deal with the Google ecosystem, and you're showing Microsoft there, and so that's kind of a whole different. We've moved away from Microsoft, at least in this district. So how does that tie into all the functions for this particular panel? Or if any of the vendors want to talk about, well, how is Google being used with these different programs? Is it integrated in any way?
Yeah, so from an infrastructure standpoint, the Extron system is just a highway. So anything that you connect to it, you can connect. If you're going to bring in your Chromebooks and do a Chromecast and connect it that way, then you can do so. And that's one of the things that Alex pointed out. That device has a number of inputs on the front of it where you could then bring in Chromecast and device. These are just displays. They have some smart technologies and applications in them. But again, if you wanted to just go to a Google ecosystem, the actual onboard machine device of that interactive display, that PC, could be removed, and then you would just use the devices that you wanted to use.
Because Google is web-based, you could access all the Google features through this as well. So.
Both of these, I think you mentioned this was wireless. That one's also wireless as well. Like, I don't have to plug in a line to my laptop. Right?
So the wireless casting is actually not. These do have wireless casting features built into them, but as he just shared, the Extron system and the
Immersive Solstice
is what we're actually using to cast. That's what he just displayed at the very end there. It was showing that we have a standalone casting device similar to like a Apple or Chromecast, but this one, it allows you to connect with any type of device.
Yeah, now these devices too, that device and this device, they are completely wireless. They're attaching to the wireless SSID here. So it's a wireless connection. We don't need a physical data connection as well.
Go for it.
So with the furniture, some people have more needs for storage than others. Would be ripping out the old storage and replacing it, or are we going to supplement our storage? How's that going to work? Have we had conversations about that?
So as I sit down and program each site out with the individual sites, working with the architects, the design team, we're going to kind of assess that on a case by case, because not all of our high schools were built exactly the same. So the type of construction, what's in the classroom, that might vary. So the storage solutions might vary as well. What we would like to do in the best case scenario is have all your storage be flexible. In the instance like this room where you have all these built-in cabinets here, if we were to remove those and replace it with flexible cabinetry and storage options, then we just feel like that opens up the classroom to more possibilities. Go for it.
So I appreciate that, but I hope that's a conversation that we'll have with the teachers that are actually working in the classrooms, because that's a change in their working conditions. And they're the ones that are going to be working with all this materials, and I hope that there's input from the teachers along the way.
Right. So it's great that you brought that up, because that's exactly what we're looking for out of this study is, getting everybody's kind of input on what they think of these mobile desks and mobile solutions, the technology, and how that works. And then, that won't be 100% just cookie cutter for each site. That's going to have to adapt to the existing site conditions to an extent. Ultimately as well, we have a budget to consider. So, you know, we don't have the luxury of coming in and completely gutting every single room in every single school and starting from scratch. So there'll be conversations, I think, that are site-based individually that'll kind of address some of that. But yes, we want to vet it out as much as we possibly can, because the better response and the more collectively we make these decisions, then I think the better the end result's going to be. Because if everybody has buy-in from the beginning, then hopefully at the end, you know, everybody's able to kind of use the space to its fullest potential at that point.
Are you going to offer for each individual high school a combination of these two, or is it mutually exclusive, like one or the other?
For budgetary reasons, we typically won't put both of these two devices in one classroom.
No, not in the classroom, but I mean, like, let's say some teachers want this and some teachers want that. Is there flexibility there?
Yes, that's kind of what we're looking at, is trying to get the feedback from everybody to see which direction we're leaning towards. You know, thinking along the lines of flexibility, you know, with the ultra shorts, you have a whiteboard when it's not on. When you come, you know, into the classroom with multiple displays, you might lose some of that because you have fixed pieces. So those are some of the things to consider. But yes, we want to create packages that have options for each site to kind of determine what's appropriate for their needs.
So secondary is going to have different needs than elementary.
Yes.
So how are we addressing the different needs of those teachers?
So this focus group is primarily for high schools only.
Right. So I'm just asking process questions.
So we will, when we get to that point in a couple of years from now, we get some more direction from the board. If we go to middle schools next or elementary schools next, we'll meet with those groups, you know, whichever's next, and do a very similar process to what we're doing today. That way, you know, it's applicable to that grade sector, if you want to call it a sector.
Great, that helps me answer the question. Thanks.
Okay.
A question about the furniture. Someone had mentioned that the weight capacity is 250. Are there any options for higher weight?
Yes, that's a great question. In a previous district I worked for, we specified, like the chair she's sitting in, which is a little bit of a larger frame, and it has a higher weight capacity. You know, some of our students, you know, they might be in excess of that weight, so we want to be able to accommodate all students. So that's probably going to be one of the standards we look towards. It's, you know, for the display purposes, it's harder to get those just off the shelf, so we wanted to show you what was available. Any other questions?
So sorry.
A lot of our teachers, you know, we have the smart boards in our classrooms, and they've developed so many lessons. Would that panel be able to accommodate?
The smart lessons, that's a good question. I don't know if Newline, are they still around? No, Chris is. That'd be a question for them. If we can't answer that right now.
Because if the software's on the computer,
yeah, right.
Yeah. If the software's on the computer, they'll have questions.
Sorry.
So we have smart boards
Yeah.
in our classrooms, and you know, the teachers have developed so many lessons with the smart board, and we were just wondering if that panel there would support.
Would it work?
Yes, would it work?
Of course. So smart software is just a software. It runs on the computer that's attached to your smart board today. You can put it on that computer and run it there as well. So it will work. Smart software does have a license attached to it, so you'd have to have that license and that approval. But yes, it will definitely work as well.
Thanks.
Move over here so if there's any other questions.
Well, yeah, I was asking about the PowerPoint.
Is the Microsoft Office license included with that, or
Yes.
is that something purchased separately?
So I believe that they do come with a Microsoft Office license. However, I'm not going to say 100% yes, but it can have it as well. So you had a question.
That's a good question.
And if we did miss anything, we will have an opportunity for you guys to submit further questions for us to respond to. Just in case you walk out today and go, shoot, I wish I would have asked them that.
Did you have one?
Is this the only writable Surface desk, or are these also ones that you can write on?
Yeah, that's the one that we did bring along that does have that writable finish. But essentially any laminate that you see that's out there, we can do with like a marker board finish on it. But that's the only one that we brought today.
So remember, today was intended to be a kit of parts. So, you know, we can take pieces from something we like and and modify it because everything's adaptable toward what you want.
So it seems like this one has a benefit of being able to use the whiteboard space. I see here that the graphics are way better. Are there any other differences that you guys know of that I'm not seeing other than these two?
Well, the front has a larger display, and there are some pros and cons on both. So obviously, this has a better quality. That is a larger image. Again, walking into the classroom, if nothing is on, you can use that whiteboard. Again, it's in the sweet spot of the classroom in the center, so that's certainly but you know, there's a lot of similarities regarding capturing and annotating, and so.
There is a cost delta.
Yeah.
Both projectors and displays come with remotes. The display comes in different sizes, so you can have a 65-inch, a 75-inch, an 86-inch, and a 98-inch. Those are the size differences that they have.
What was that one? That was 85?
This one's an 86-inch.
And we try to, that's part of what the pole vault system, the control panel, is to take remotes out of the classroom because those get lost, battery issues, and so being able to, the control panel off to the right there, being able to control your inputs, your devices, on and off, volume.
And this being a touch screen, just like that being a touch screen, when you turn this on, you can go to the home screen and it'll allow you to choose, what input you want to go to from here, or you can go to the panel on there and choose the same thing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do the same things with all of the technologies.
How strong is that display? Because if it's at that level, okay, that's what I want to know. Can you get it and it still work? Yeah.
Very strong. It actually has a glass overlay in front of it, so your students can take whatever, throw things at it, and we recommend not climbing upon it because there's but all of our panels, no matter which one it is, it does have a glass overlay in front of it. This model has a 4mm gap approximately between the glass and the actual LED paneling itself, and because it is an LED screen, right? So when you open up your computer, you're looking at an LCD screen, right? When you're opening this up, it's the same type of thing, so it'll look good. But if you touch the LED screen on your computer, you'll notice it does that like light flash. Same thing here, if I hit it hard enough that I can bend the glass to touch the screen, right? So it is very, very strong.
You had mentioned about the size of these, the 86 down to 75 and 65-inch. The whole objective in the classroom is to create an equal opportunity for all students to learn, not just the front of the classroom, but all the way to the back. And so you've got kids 26 feet back from the front of the board. So you'll learn by what you see and what you hear. And so having displays large enough, not just to watch a movie, but you've got to be able to read text from way back here in the back of the classroom. And the same with audio, not only hearing the program audio, what's coming from the display, but also, like I mentioned, the voice lift. And so, again, it's that equal opportunity for all students to learn.
So one of the great things about these panels, those displays, and really anything that you're getting, when you're using these in that digital whiteboard mode, right? All of those digital whiteboards are infinitesimal, right? You can keep writing on it, you can move that board, you can add an additional page, you can do all those things. You can write as big as you want, right? So the size in that whiteboard space is not where it's that important. Let's just say whether it's a 65 or an 86. What's important is when you go digital, whether it's in the projector or whether it's in this display here, you get to save it, right? When you're writing on a regular whiteboard, whether it's, again, projector or display, once you erase that, it's gone, right? So in both of these technologies, when you write with that in that digital whiteboard space, at the end of your day, at the end of the presentation, you get to hit that save button and you can distribute that information to all of your students. And that save and distribution is the most powerful teaching tool ever because they get to go home, open it up again, and review, right? So they literally are taking you home with them. So that doesn't matter what the technology is.
So this is more of like a decision-making process question, but for example, our site, we've chosen to spend a lot of our funds on updating our screens. So we just got new screens put in every classroom. While I understand, they're not up to these standards, but how are those decisions going to be made? like, are they taking those screens out of our class? They're staying and adding these?
Yeah,
or?
so the idea would be, to utilize as much existing infrastructure technology that we currently have. So let's say that the consensus for your site was to move to one of these two. We would hope that we'd be able to take the displays that you currently have and make it a secondary display. So we'd replace your primary display with something like this, and then maybe we take that, if it's a 80-inch TV or something, and we put it on one of the side walls, and we do what we did in this room, to where you're connected with the Extron system, to where now you have multiple displays in your classroom.
Or taking some of that money and making our hallways wheelchair accessible?
That's too much to ask. that whole ADA thing.
Yeah. Well, it is a problem.
I think we got time for maybe one or two more questions. We have.
I say just for etching or scratching possibilities, like we use a wrong pen on that screen, for example, or the student accidentally does scratch. I mean, is that scratch
You have to use
resistant?
metal on it to scratch it. This is a hard tip plastic pen that I've been using. It's fine. It is scratch resistant. It's not screwdriver resistant.
Right.
So
So suppose it was scratched, what are the options to replace it or fix?
it depends on who and how and why. So if it's purposefully scratched, I mean, that's a question. I don't have a good answer for that.
Can you repair them, I think is what he's getting at, or do you have to
I'm
replace
sure
them?
there are ways to repair them, but again, I wouldn't be able to answer that specific question because I haven't come across it yet. So
What about Sharpies?
There are ways to remove Sharpie off of that. Usually, it's actually right on top of it with a dry erase marker.
We learned that today.
Okay.
Was that the right answer? So.
All right. Well, if that's it on that Q&A part, like I said, if there's anything that comes up in your mind that we weren't able to cover today, feel free to send that off, and we'll do our best to get back to you guys. But that was all we had for the presentation part. Again, thank you to everybody who participated today, and I'll hand it over to Colin to wrap us up.
Okay, just a minute or so. First, I want to thank Ryan and his team, Richard, our architect. They did a great job this past month putting all this together. So I want to thank you. Thank all the vendors for coming out and supporting our process. And of course, thank all of you for coming in and spending a lot of time with us. Irene is going to send you a link to the survey she told you about. And that would be a great opportunity to click on the choice of giving us more information, and you can also ask questions in that field as well. So if you could fill that link out even before Thanksgiving, that would be wonderful. And then we'll use that data to make further adjustments. And then our end product is a set of performance standards, not a specific brand, but set of performance standards that you can expect in an ABC classroom. And then Ryan and his team will take it school by school from there and make sure that standard gets implemented. So with that, thank you for joining us and have a great evening.